You have probably heard that ray tracing on different PC, GPUs and consoles works in slightly different ways. Some even say that RT on AMD is not a real RT or something like that. Of course, all those statements have nothing to do with reality, but different approaches to RT implementation can vary in terms of their efficiency in specific tasks. This video contains a brief explanation of those differences and a bit of testing of ray tracing performance on Nvidia, AMD and Intel GPUs. Hello and welcome back to Hardware Lab. Generally speaking, ray tracing is a method of visualization of an image. In ray tracing, ray is nothing else than the vector form of data that is traced from the viewer's camera perspective and location. This ray intersects three dimensions geometry. Considering physical properties and color of that geometry, the ray can bounce and continue bouncing multiple times. So all the polygons in geometry that ray bounces off or not bounces off should be calculated. This is called ray per triangle intersection calculation. But just imagine how expensive calculating the ray per triangle intersection could be in modern games, with a lot of insanely detailed geometry. Real-time RT requires some clever acceleration for that purpose, and this is where the bounding volume hierarchy concept plays its role. Yes, we were speaking about BVH in the previous video, but we're about to briefly repeat this explanation here. The best way to understand the BVH concept is to think about it as a tree of possible rays and triangles intersection test outcomes. All geometry of a scene is found inside a BVH structure. BVH is a tree where the scene is a parent or a root and objects are children or leaves. Each object in turn is a parent for its own nested items, which are boxes or triangles. The main idea of BVH is testing intersection with boxes first rather than triangles to speed up intersection calculations. The BVH algorithm first traces an intersection with the main box of an object. And if that happens, the algorithm continues testing the nested boxes inside the main box. After a hit with one of these boxes, the ray is traced into the nested boxes of this box and so on, until the ray reaches a triangle or a real polygon of a 3D model. The boxes which haven't been shot are not taken into account. These calculations are simply called box intersection calculations. Real-time ray tracing in most cases is done via either Vulkan RT or DXR library that already include instructions for building acceleration structures and shooting and tracing rays. Talking about actual numbers, for this test we have three different mid-range GPUs: Intel Arc A770, GeForce RTX 3060 and Radeon RX 6700 XT. Yeah, 6700 XT is definitely not a direct competitor for the other two, but 6600 XT in this test would be not a good showcase for AMD's RT approach, since its VRAM subsystem is a huge limiting factor, while 6700 XT is a well-balanced card. It is also worth mentioning that we are looking at the performance disadvantage of tested cards with turned-on RT effects, not at the actual FPS. Alright, numbers. Intel Arc Ray Accelerator can calculate 12 rays per box intersections per cycle and 1 ray intersection per triangle per cycle. As for Nvidia Ampere, there is no data about intersections per box, but it's at least 12 as well, and 1 triangle intersection. Talking about AMD, their approach provides only 4 intersections per box per cycle, and, as well as the others, 1 intersection per triangle. The reason for this is that BVH structural calculations on AMD rely hardly on regular shaders rather than on a ray accelerator, unlike Nvidia and Intel. BVH gigaраys per second amount doesn't look particularly good on AMD side, with even more budget cards from competitors overperforming RX 6700 XT, while the triangle intersections look weak on Nvidia side due to low overall frequency and RT blocks amount. Intel Arc, on the other hand, combines both high frequency and CUs amount with a high number of BVH structures calculations. Moreover, these peak speeds can often be achievable only when the RT tasks are sorted properly, and Intel Arc GPUs have a special thread sorting unit and async RT system. You can learn more about that from our Intel Arc A770 full review by following the link in the description. The game list for this video includes some representative games that will cover a lot of different RT usage scenarios and test RT subsystems of our GPUs from different perspectives. This table shows the RT effects implemented in those games, but let's look closer. Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition features a fully dynamic high-quality ray tracing global illumination system. This game is fully based on RT rendering and cannot be run on a non-RT GPU. So, in order to test the performance impact of ray tracing in Metro, the original game's non-RT results will be compared with enhanced version results. Spider-Man Miles Morales was firstly released on PS5, so the game's RT implementation was done with AMD's RT approach in mind. Ray tracing in Spider-Man features some really huge distance of object rendering in RT reflections and also features the high-quality RT shadows. The Callisto Protocol is one of the most recent games with RT. Callisto Protocol's rendering not only includes common RT reflections and shadows, but also a unique effect, ray tracing transmission, that improves enemy models and their transparent parts appearance. Forza Horizon 5 doesn't feature a complete game-changing RT effects, but it has some nicely done RT car self-reflections, improving the overall vehicle model's look. With ray tracing turned off, these reflections can be weird and improperly drawn. Riftbreaker is a game when around a half of a frame rendering time is spent on ray tracing when it's turned on. The game artwork and dynamic light system is based around using local and global RT shadows, so when RT is turned off, the game looks faded. In addition, the game also has an RTAO that produces the most accurate ambient occlusion effect. Cyberpunk 2077 has most of ray tracing effects available in high quality. It has both local and global RT shadows, ray tracing GI system and high-quality RT reflections. So the game relies a lot on RT computing and provides one of the best ray tracing experiences available. However, Cyberpunk is one of the earliest RT titles that was released even before RDNA 2 appeared on the market, so compatibility with AMD and of course Intel can be questionable. Quake II RTX was one of the tech demo projects for RTX cards from Nvidia. It features fully path-traced rendering combined with assets from a very old original Quake II, but reworked for PBR. Anyway, it means that all non-RT computations in Quake II take hundreds times less time of completion, so basically all rendering time is spent on RT here. In terms of Quake tests, we won't compare it with turned off RT, and just show you the RT results for obvious reasons. Finally, the last test will be done in AMD's hybrid reflection sample. In the case of this sample, we're about to compare the rendering with just a pure SSR component of hybrid reflections and the rendering with full usage of hybrid RT reflections technology. With a brief understanding of the effects that we're about to test, we can finally move on to the test segment, right after telling you about our sponsors' amazing deals. Keysfan.com is an online store where you can purchase a cheap Windows 10, Microsoft Office and a bunch of other keys for a reasonable price. Keysfan sells a lot of Windows and macOS software, including creativity software, antivirus licenses, advanced download tools and game keys for PC and consoles. Moreover, Keysfan holds a Christmas sale now, with a lot of amazing discounts up to 66%. There are 3 coupon codes that can be activated during the Christmas sale. MT66 for a 66 discount on Microsoft Office, which delivers you a price of $22 for Office 2090 Pro and $24 for Office 2021 Pro. MT50 for a half price for Windows 10 Home and Professional. It allows you to purchase Windows 10 key for $7.59 and Windows 11 for just $13. And finally, NT62 provides 62% discount for Windows plus Office bundles, starting at just $26.50. Check out Key's Fan amazing deals using the link in the description. And let's move to the test segment. Metro Exodus shows some insane results in terms of A770's performance. It's faster than the more expensive 6700 XT in both Enhanced RT and non-RT modes, even despite the sensor on A770 that reports about underload. Talking about the performance drop by using ray tracing, A770 shows the smallest drop around 14%, and AMD's card shows the highest around 25%. RTX 3060 holds in the middle with 19 to 20% loss, but the overall performance is kinda poor. Spider-Man Miles Morales ray tracing performance impact looks very soft on both Intel and Nvidia sides, around 7%. As for AMD, there is a 20% impact, and the more expensive RX 6700 XT with turned on RT shows the on-par results with cheaper Intel and Nvidia's cards.
Welcome to 8-Bit Style. Do it again.
The Callisto Protocol shows some weird behavior on all of the cards. The last video game update makes it possible to run RT on Intel Arc, but something's definitely going wrong here. I wouldn't call it runs actually. It looks more like crawling than running. RTX 3060 doesn't surprise here at all. The games at times look like CPU limited. However, 6700 XT with this same CPU provides much better results. FPS drop calculations in our tests are based not on the lowest, but on the average frame rate. And it's obvious that Callisto Protocol's ray tracing prefers AMD's approach, with 22% performance drop instead of 26% on the Nvidia side. Forza Horizon 5 doesn't feature any really demanding RT effects, so overall performance punishment for turning on RT is not that big. However, although reflections in Forza include just a small amount of geometry, shading in those reflections is done quite well, so the demand on proper sorting is huge. This is probably why RT in Forza works better on the ARC than on the RTX. In fact, even Radeon's performance drop here is smaller than GeForce's, however, it is that small in general that it can be explained with measurement uncertainty. The performance drop in Riftbreaker is the smallest on AMD's side. However, 6700 XT is the only GPU that is slightly CPU limited in this test without RT, so it can be connected to that. Anyway, RT is working great here on AMD. Surprisingly, Intel Arc's drop from RT effects in this game is higher than GeForce's one. Intel's GPU shows some weird behavior in one more game, Cyberpunk 2077. The sensor reports underload, despite all the other cards running on higher frame rate are completely GPU limited. This is normal behavior for A770 in some games though. The performance drop from turning on RTFX is the smallest of all three on the ARC side, 30%, but the overall performance is not as impressive. RTX drop is the more significant, around 45%, and RDNA 2 GPUs don't like Cyberpunk's RT implementation at all, losing a massive 63% of frame rate. More expensive RX 6700 XT is rated here under RTX 3060 with RT. Quake II RTX works significantly better on Nvidia than on both AMD and Intel. The cheapest of all cards today, RTX 3060, easily outperforms both A770 and 6700 XT. Does it show the pure ray tracing performance and mean that Nvidia is just better in that? I wouldn't really say so, but the result is interesting and quite unexpected. Talking about the unexpected, in AMD's own demo, AMD showed the worst result in terms of turning on RTFX, and Nvidia the best, 43, 35 and 21% loss respectively. Overall, 3060's performance is not really competitive, but we're still looking at percentage differences, and this demo definitely prefers Nvidia's approach. There are a few obvious conclusions that we can make based on the tests above. First, we can be wrong about BVH calculations on the Nvidia side. It can be even higher than 12. But remember, these are just assumptions. There is no data about BVH box computing on Nvidia. Second, the difference in RT processing on AMD, Nvidia and Intel are quite huge. So we cannot say that one is better than another. Intel's approach looks pretty decent, while AMD cards are likely to lose more performance when ray tracing is turned on. But it always depends on a game's RT implementation, and you cannot be sure what to expect just from the raw RT performance. Anyway, this is it for this video. Merry Christmas hardware enthusiasts, and as usual, stay up to date with HL.